Thanks so much for making the time. I really appreciate it. I see you killing it out here on Instagram, social media, all across the performance scene. I know it obviously has to be a busy time. So first of all, congratulations. It's been really cool to watch your evolution on socials over the past couple years.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
100%. So I know you just had a birthday, obviously lots of
Yeah.
shows. Talk to the people about what's been going on.
Yeah, honestly, it's that summer season, so we got lots of shows coming up and shows that I've just already done in the last couple months. And yeah, I turned 22, so it's kind of fun little age to turn to. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of new music and just been writing a lot in the studio, but at the same time, still out here doing performances and stuff like that, and hopefully going to be releasing a project next year, so I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. Now, when you're entering obviously a new year, a new chapter of your life, and you have made so much progress in your career, I mean, what are the sort of thought processes that you're having at that time? Is it how far you want to take it in the next year? Is it specific elements that you really want to do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Honestly, every time, a birthday comes around or like just a new chapter comes around, it's like I always like to reflect on, the things that I have done throughout the year, throughout the past years and stuff like that too, and kind of just see the progress, but at the same time, think about, okay, what's happening next? What can I do to, be better and improve, in throughout my career and stuff like that too. So I think, looking at the positives and seeing where I've come and to kind of what I want to do next is kind of like my thought process through kind of, entering a new chapter in my career and just in life in general. So yeah, I kind of like to do a little full circle type of moment.
100%. I mean, how old were you when you actually really started being active in the music space? Because, I would imagine you were singing for a long time as a little kid, but like at what point does
Yeah.
that turn into an actual career path that you're pursuing?
Well, what's crazy was my first ever like gig was when I was 9 years old. And
Wow.
so, yeah, and so when I first started doing music, I just really fell in love with being on stage and like performing for people, whether it was singing my own songs or just like covers. And of course, when I was nine, like I was singing other people's songs. And so that's what really kind of fulfilled my happiness was just being up there singing music for people. And I think, music is something that everybody loves. Like I haven't met one person that don't love music. And so,
If they don't, you can't trust them.
exactly. That's on period. But yeah, and so that's kind of where I like started to, really fall in love with the idea of performing for people and sharing music that way. And then I started kind of writing my own music when I was 13. And when I was 16, that's when I flew out to Toronto and recorded my first few songs. And that's kind of where I kickstarted my career and where that kind of all came about.
Okay, so what was the conversation at 16? Like there must have been a realization around you that, hey, this girl can sing. I mean, what are we going to do to capitalize it? Was that more or less sort of the sentiment, or was it just we want to see how far she can take this?
You know what? Honestly, growing up in a city like Edmonton and just in Alberta and Canada in general, like country music has always been like the biggest favorite in terms of genres and stuff like that too. So it was really interesting, like trying to navigate my career because I do, more pop R&B music. Not to say that it's not appreciated here, but country music is like the genre that
For
everybody
sure.
listens all the big festivals are here for country. And so when I first started my career, to get my way into like networking just within my city, I had to like go in and start singing country songs,
Hmm.
doing big country competitions just to kind of, get some connections and like start networking that way. And so that was kind of how I got my foot in the door and like doing certain gigs and stuff like that. But obviously growing up, like, and I'm still young, but like, as a teenager, you're still like evolving and you're still learning about yourself and you're still learning about so many things. And I was at that point in my career where I'm like, no, like I don't want to be singing music anymore. Like I
Right.
want to be doing the music that I'm passionate about and that I want to, start like creating and stuff like that too. So no shade to country because I actually do love country music. I'm still a country fan to this day. But the type of music that I'm super passionate about and that I grew up listening to in the house, like throwback, like R&B, in the 90s, the 80s, like 80s music,
Yeah.
throwback 2000s, like that was like the type of music that I grew up listening to in my house. And so, that's the type of music that I wanted to start making. And so I don't know what it was, but at that age of 16, I was like, no, like I need to start, shaping who I am as an artist and kind of figuring
Yeah.
out who I am. And of course, I'm still navigating that to this day, but I wanted to start making music that I was passionate about and that I really loved and that represented me as an artist and just like as a person that just enjoys listening to that type of music.
No, that's super crucial. I mean, maybe if you could speak on sort of the element of being surrounded by, other people who sort of are influenced by the same thing as you. I mean, that's something that I've definitely found. I
Yeah.
think coming up in Alberta, we have an incredibly strong scene. I think there's incredible things about being in this scene.
Mhm.
But I also really like to see people sort of utilizing, travel and other things to sort of shake it up. How important is that for you, Tia, when, as a creator to really continue to be surrounded by that and then come home as well?
No, absolutely. Honestly, you know what? And I tell this to literally everyone like everything that you do starts like at home. Like what
Yeah.
and what I mean by that is like, your family and stuff like that too. So like family is super important to me and like I grew up in a Filipino household, so you already know karaoke is playing around the house. All
Very
the
musical.
very, very musical, absolutely. And so, that was where I kind of like found my like safe space and my like ground is like, that type of music, like that R&B pop vibe. So, you know, again, like when you're kind of starting out a career in your own city, it's like you kind of are almost like, okay, what is like the biggest thing that you can do here that like would kind of reach that point where it's like you've done kind of everything in the city. And so
Right.
like, as I was growing up, I was like I wanted to hit every stage that was like, relatively small, big, wherever in the city to really kind of reach that point where I was like, hey, now that I've kind of, made my mark in Edmonton, I want to bring it out into the world. And so that was
Yeah.
kind of my mindset going into it. So like traveling to places like Toronto, Singapore, Europe, like, bringing that element of like, starting out here and going out there has just really been something that I like am super super proud to like have been able to like share my music across the world and like going
Yeah.
out to different places and representing my city, but as well as representing myself as an artist. I think like it's really scary to step into like a whole new different like city that you don't know everyone. So it's
For
like,
sure.
obviously you've trademarked your territory in the city, and like, we have an amazing music scene out here in Alberta. And so, being able to just like that, this like feels like home, and this feels like, where I grew up, but like taking it to a whole another level, a whole nother city. It's like you're almost not necessarily starting from scratch, but it almost feels that way because it's like you're introducing yourself in
Yeah.
a city where you don't know anyone. But it's also like an amazing thing because that's just another opportunity for you to share your craft and to kind of see what like where you're at in terms of like how you can get to those certain points and like being able to travel and do those things for music. So it's
Yeah.
honestly such a blessing to be able to say that this is my job and this is what I do and this is what I can do to be able to broaden my horizons and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge thing, and you're so right about the sort of blank slate element because in some cases it can be sort of a blank slate in terms of a first impression, right? I mean that's the one thing that you can never go back and change in your own city is that first impression. And that leads me to another question. I mean, did you get a lot of support? Because right now, when you just looking at your Instagram, the hometown love is insane. I mean, you get so much love. I don't know one person in the scene out here who doesn't know Tia
Aw,
G. Um,
so sweet.
but
Thank you.
was that something that you had initially right off the bat, or did that sort of start to come as you expanded, as you went to Toronto? Because, I know people who had a healthy mix of both. I know some people who had to break out to start getting hometown love, and I know other people who just had it from the jump.
Yeah, honestly, we have lots of like amazing people in the city, and I feel like the one thing that I like love about Edmonton is the community and the fact that we all support each other with whatever genre that you do or wherever you are in your career. So I think honestly, I feel like doing the music thing here to start had really kind of like kickstarted my way of getting to different cities, honestly. Like, I feel like the support from Alberta music has just really been crucial and like a really important part in my career because I feel like I would not have been able to do those amazing things without the community that we have. And so honestly, it all started here. Like I feel like, I think it's super important to always, come back to where like just to remember where you came from and just like be very grateful for the people that have mentored you and helped you, because I know there's lots of artists like Arlo Maverick is an artist that I really, really looked up to, who is from here, who has done the thing. Josh Zahunta is another really inspirational artist. And like we have amazing people here that I look up to and that I feel like have, because of their continued support, I've been able to do such crazy things like outside of all that. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely started from home for sure.
I love that. Speaking of trips, you were recently in the Netherlands. Maybe if you could speak to us about that. That trip, I mean, it looked like you did some incredible networking out there.
Thank you. Yeah, no, honestly, that trip was absolutely incredible. And like Europe was definitely on my bucket list of, things that I wanted to do out there for music. And so it was a really cool story, actually. Again, this is kind of coming back to like it's starting from home. So when the Junos was happening in Edmonton, I had the amazing opportunity to showcase at Juno Fest. And like I mentioned, there's this artist, his name is Arlo Maverick. He's been like a huge mentor like throughout my entire career, and so he actually came out and brought the like head of directors of the actual festival that was a part of New School Rules, which is what it's called in the Netherlands. And so she actually came out and watched my performance, and
Wow.
then a year later, that's when we kind of started talking about going out there and performing at her specific festivals. So again, it's like that whole full circle moment of like it always starts from home and kind of like yeah, it's shooting your way to the Netherlands, which was so cool. And honestly, it was such an eye opener because there's a lot of amazing artists in the urban like hip hop R&B scene that like you don't really think about it until you're actually present in that spot. Like
Yeah.
there's so many artists around the world, and so being in a spot where like there's a million people doing what you're doing, and like doing what you want to do and like pursue something like that was super inspiring. And I think at that specific festival, what I loved about it the most was like the collaborations between all of the artists, and it was just a very like super supportive place to be, and like seeing everybody perform and like doing what they love was like such an amazing experience. And I think that the biggest takeaway that I took from that conference was like connecting with artists and like doing collaborations and really, connecting in that sense. So that was really a big takeaway that I took from that festival for sure.
Do you find that you end up making connections even outside of music, like just personal connections or friendships when you're networking like this? Because I mean, at least for me, when I put myself in those situations, that's often the case.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, you know what? My thing when I'm going to a networking event, obviously I have my goals set. I'm like, hey, like I need to meet these people. This is what I want them to do for me, if that even is a possible thing. But I think the best way to connect with people is on a human level, and just like going into it, just like being yourself and not necessarily, going down and like right away hitting it with like, oh, I need you to help me with this. Like
Yeah.
I,
Here's my card.
yeah, absolutely. Like, I feel like a lot of the connections that I've made, and I think the most successful connections that I've made, are literally by just being myself and just like getting to know them on like a human level and not even really talking about music. Like, honestly, I feel like the way that you're going to connect and that the way that people are genuinely want to help you is just if you're like a good human and you're just kind,
Yeah.
and you just build off that connection, because I feel like all of the rest come after that, like all of the success and everything. So I think, yeah, definitely in like a networking situation, it's almost best to just like let your guard down and just be yourself. And I know it's a scary thing too, because it's again
Yeah.
like a bunch of new people that you're like meeting. And obviously after the pandemic, like honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like I thought I was way more outgoing before, and then as the pandemic came, I'm like, wow, I'm low key more of an introvert than I think about it.
See, I thought it was just me, so it's not just me. Thank God.
No, not at all. Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, but that's almost like a muscle that we have to work, right? It's like use it or lose it. So that social interaction, I definitely find I almost had to just go to the coffee shop and just talk to the person behind the counter just to get myself used to being out there
Absolutely.
again.
No, for sure. That's like 100% how I felt too. Like even just in any, yeah, any type of situation, it's like putting yourself out there is so scary, but like at the same time, it can benefit you and the other person and just life in general so much because meeting new people is just like such a crucial and like beneficial thing to like, try different things or, just move on with your life in a way that you're like still, learning new things and stuff like that too. So, yeah.
For sure. Now, here's a question for you. In terms of being so dedicated, obviously so booked and busy with the craft, and you clearly have such a passion for it, how does that interact with your personal life? Obviously, Tia G is, a family member to many people. I'm sure a friend to many people. And, these are all different hats that you have to wear. How do you keep it all together and take care of yourself personally as well as your career?
Absolutely. You know what? Honestly, I can, honestly say that I'm very blessed and very grateful to have a family and just a group of friends that really support what I do. And it's not easy. And I know, growing up in like a Filipino household, like the traditional ways, like, become a lawyer and like do this, go
Right.
to school, this and that. But yeah, no, I just have been so blessed and grateful to have parents that like really, really support what I do and like who truly have always told me to do what makes me happy and follow that because just, I think in anything that you do and like in anything that you choose to do for the rest of your life, it's like, you want to be happy and you want to be you're the best version of yourself. And so I think, kind of having this as a career and like mixing it in with my personal life and like my own like self-care. Honestly, music is therapeutic in all different ways. So like even if I'm not doing it like right now as like an artist, like I always know that music is something that will always be in my life and that will always be
Right.
something that is a thing that will kind of get me through a lot of things. And so yeah, just kind of like in a way, the way that I see it is, as long as you're doing what makes you happy and you're making sure that you're surrounding yourself with like positive, kind people, it makes a huge difference with the way that you look at certain things and what your mindset is. And I think because of that, it has helped me in my own personal life to just, you know, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with good people and to make sure that, you're taking a step back as well and like and taking care of yourself. Like I think even just like doing like little self-care nights and like I don't know, honestly, even just being alone sometimes. Because, you're always in this industry, you're always surrounded by people and you're always putting yourself out there and you're always, going out trying to get your name out there. And,
Yeah.
obviously that can take a toll on your mental health and it can take a toll on just your mental and physical physical being. So like
Sure.
and just being alone and being by yourself and like and just remembering to just always take a step back and just like, be grateful for the things that come your way and just I don't know, just being really grateful. I think that's like the
Mm.
biggest thing. And just really making sure that you're staying humble and you're like appreciating the good things that are happening and even the bad sometimes because that can also shape you into the person that who you are. But again, to just like appreciating the people around you, the good ones, people who lift you up and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like again, it comes back to the fact that you love what you do. So you're basically saying, I'm going to take the good with the bad. It's all part of the overall package of being an artist, which,
Absolutely.
overall you feel blessed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know what? At the end of the day, again, like music is my passion, but music is also my job too. And like, it's not going to always be rainbows and butterflies and like, it's not always going to be great. And, at the end of the day, sometimes you're like, oh man, like, I didn't get this certain opportunity. Like, what am I doing wrong and stuff like that? Like, that still goes through your head and goes through your mind. But, like, again, you just kind of come back to why you love doing it. And I think that is the most important thing. And at the end of the day, like, a lot of people put pressure on time and like timing and like, because everyone's like, oh, you need to be super young to like make it in the business. And if you're not young anymore, like you're kind of just forgotten about, which is like totally not true at
Not true.
all. It's not true whatsoever. And I feel like, yeah, people put a lot of pressure on that. And honestly, I feel like everybody's journey is their own journey. Whether you make it when you're 40, whether you make it when you're 60, or whether they make it when you're like 12. Like
Exactly.
everybody has their own, path and their own journey. And I think God has a plan for everybody. And I think that, with putting in the hard work, working smarter as well, and, just believing in yourself and believing in your craft and not, letting that outside noise get to you, I think, that is already your path to success.
Hmm.
And I think, a lot of the time people think that, things need to be done at a certain time and stuff like that. But honestly, with the beauty of music and the beauty of this industry, which a lot of people, have a lot to say about the industry, but like the beauty about it is that like you can kind of navigate when you want to do certain things. And I think, a lot of that comes with hard work and dedication and just, making sure that you are keeping up a positive mindset, because
Hmm.
you just never know with this industry, like opportunities can come, and whether that be now or later, but it will eventually come as long as you
Yeah.
continue to put in the hard work and put in the love and passion to your craft. That all will come like later on, or whenever, like whenever it decides to come, it will come eventually, as long
Yes.
as you're like putting in your 1,000% like passion and just like hard work. It'll come. It will come.
It will come, totally. And the thing I've found too is it never comes exactly the way that you sort of rehearse it in your head. Like you think, okay, I'm going to go to this place, meet this person, and get this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Usually that will only happen when you don't expect it, right? I mean, you talk about the Netherlands gig. These are things that just sort of occur. And speaking on your point about the age too, that's it's a great point that there's no time limit, because the other question is what is making it exactly. I mean, I would say that
Yeah.
everybody has a different perspective. I mean, is it to never work again? Is it to have reached a certain level of awards? I mean, maybe to you, what is making it? That maybe that's a question to ask.
And you know what? Like, if I'm thinking about why I started at the very start, like going back to when I started doing all of this was before all the, amazing things that are happening. When I first was like, yo, like I love being on stage and I love doing music, it was literally for the sole purpose of like making people happy and making people smile with my music. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but that's literally why I started doing it. And as the years went on, of course, I've had big goals. Like honestly, my biggest dream is to do a world tour, singing my songs and selling out arenas and doing the thing. Like that is like the
Hell yeah.
biggest goal, 100%. And like that's something that that I'm so grateful that music can do, is like it can, give you the opportunity to travel to so many different places, learn about different cultures and stuff like that. And just being able to, meet people and connect with people, like that is like the reason why I love music and the reason why I do it. And, it's always come to like at the core of just, connecting with people and making people happy. Like that's literally my biggest goal for sure. And so
Yeah.
all of that kind of, comes with, discovering different goals that you want to like pursue in music and stuff like that too. But always at the core, is just to make people happy and make people smile, and like being on stage and creating a show and doing the full thing where you're like creating arrangements of your songs, like taking a look at production, how you want the lighting to look, if they want dancers, no dancers, like just like creating a show and like doing it for the sole purpose of thinking about the people that you're going to be performing it for, and like per se your fans. Like that is what I love, and that is what
Yeah.
I want to do, and that's what I want to pursue whenever that time comes. So yeah, that's what I'm working towards.
I love it. And I mean, why wouldn't you want to share it with people on a large scale? I mean, obviously, if you're passionate about it, you're going to want to put it out there. Who are some artists that you see sort of on a large scale like that right now, who, they have the arrangements, the choreography, the sets, that you say, I wish I could do my version of this. Obviously not trying to be like them, but
Yeah.
who inspires you today who's doing it at that level?
You know what? Like, I have many artists that inspire me, and like, I have my day ones. Like, I love Ariana Grande, Bruno Mars, Adele, and then even going into more of that R&B route. Like, I love SZA, I love Ella Mai. But there's a specific artist right now that I've been like just really watching and like looking at how their career came about. And it's so funny because I always tell people, when you invite me to a concert, I am thinking about it in such a different perspective than you are.
Right.
Like, I almost want to watch the concert twice so that
Yeah.
one, I can analyze it the way I want to, and two, and then enjoy it and just be present in the moment. But yeah, there's a specific artist right now. She's popping. She's like the pop princess right now, Tate McRae. She's like
Right.
somebody that I really, really look up to in terms of like how she got to this point, because I feel like a lot of people forget that like she had a whole career before how she is now. Like she was a dancer first. She,
Oh
was
wow.
doing the whole thing, and then she had lots of songs that like not a lot of people know of that she had put out that were super good and like super popular, and kind of seeing her growth to where she is now is like insane. And same with like Sabrina Carpenter, for example. Like been looking up to her since she was in Nickelodeon. She was in Girl Meets World, and then she came out with her one big song, Can't Blame a Girl for Trying. And as that kind of evolved, like I watched her at the Coke stage in Calgary. Like
Mm.
I love seeing how like these like female artists and these artists in this career like go from the very beginning all the way to the end, because I feel like a lot of people who are like non-artists just see them when they're like at their peak, and it's like
Exactly. Like they
they
just showed
forget.
up like that, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then they forget about all the hard work that has been put into it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, those specific artists I've been really like looking into, and really being able to analyze their career from like the very beginning to seeing them how they are now is like really inspiring. And
Yeah.
it's something that keeps me motivated too, because again, like you look at this career and you're like, wow, like this is something that you're trying to get to, but like seeing other people and seeing their growth and kind of picking apart their career and like seeing, oh, like this certain piece I could try, and like this certain piece I could try, or this one like maybe not, like kind of analyzing it that way like really kind of carves you into your own artist. And
Yeah.
so I'm like very blessed and like very grateful that there are other people that you can look up to, and like that you can like really like try and see yourself as that person, but at the same time doing your own thing and kind of making it your own, and trying different things that work for you. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're standing in those arenas and those crowds, and you're standing in that artist's dream, right? So, I mean,
Yeah,
for me, I find that inspiring, even as a person who doesn't do music. I go see some of these rappers, I picture them as just some guy in their room with a notepad. It
for
definitely
sure.
puts a battery in your back, right? To chase your dreams.
It really does. It really does. It puts it into perspective as well too. So, being that person in the audience as an artist, kind of visualizing what you're looking at in terms of like your favorite artist in the world is like standing in front of you right now, doing what you want to do, is like a really cool thing to look at. Because then when you're on stage, it's like it's a whole different feeling. So it's like it's very full circle, and that's like something that I love to like analyze and like look at, is just like seeing everything in a bigger picture, and like seeing from where you start to like how you decide to navigate your career yourself is it's pretty cool. And it's honestly another like motivator and like inspiring thing to be able to continue to do.
I love that. Now, real quick, I just wanted to ask you about some of your performances since we're speaking of
Yeah.
performances.
Mm.
Obviously, you've done the WNBA singing the anthem, which was
Yeah.
incredible. You've done the Stingers, you've done tons of showcases.
Yeah.
Sort of what have been some of the highlights from these performances, and how does it feel to you to keep just leveling up in terms of opportunities?
Oh gosh, honestly, like, yeah, again, a lot of these things come with a lot of time and like hard work and stuff like that too. And so, when you get these certain opportunities, you always like to just take a step back and be like, wow, like, you know, for instance, like the WNBA anthem, to give you an example, like I've been singing anthems for Edmonton specific sports teams for a really long time. Like when FC Edmonton, the soccer team was a thing, I was their anthem singer for like 7 seasons. I
Wow,
started doing that when I was like, I want to say like 10 or 11. And
it's
so,
amazing.
yeah, been doing that. I've done anthems for the Edmonton Rush when the lacrosse team was around. Again, previous years, I've been doing the Stingers as well. So, like, just again, taking a step back and looking at, like, wow, like all of that, like, work in progress, and the things that I have done really led me to that point of like, okay, here's the WNBA now. Like this is
Right.
like you're gonna sing it at Rogers Place, and which was a huge dream of mine, was to like, obviously do it in our home arena. And so again, like taking a look at those steps that like you don't even know that these opportunities are coming, but it's like the more that you say yes and the more that you go out of your comfort zone and do certain things and like just go out and do it, that's when again the opportunities come. And so it's again like another one of those like full circle moments. And it's really really awesome to see. And it's really nice because it almost feels like when these opportunities come, it's like this is your time to be like appreciated, and like people are seeing the growth and seeing the hard
Yeah,
work. So it's a really really nice feeling. And I think, yeah, that comes with a lot of the opportunities that I have been recently getting. And so it's just, again, just like being in that mindset of just, staying positive and like, continuing to put in the work really, really, really is rewarding afterwards. Cause then
hmm,
again, these crazy opportunities come in that you don't even know that they're coming. And it just like, it almost feels better that like, people are just like now starting to see it. And so I think, yeah, like with these performances, I'm like, wow, like it's cool to see that like I've been like performing and doing the thing and like starting out at cafes and like, busking outside. Like that was like kind of like where it all kind of started. And so now being able to say that I've like, performed at in the Netherlands, or even did the showcase in Singapore. It's like it's such a crazy thing to wrap my head around. But again,
yeah.
it's like looking back at all of the performances that I've done in the past, and like the way I've been working towards trying to get to those certain stages. It's like it's cool, and it's a very humbling and like very very inspiring thing to kind of really like analyze the way that when you first started to how you are now and how these opportunities are now coming about. But again, it's like it's all unexpected. It's all things that
That's it.
you're not planning in your head like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do WNBA anthem there, and I'm gonna start doing halftime shows at Sears. Like you don't think about those things. Like you don't like you don't know when they're gonna come. And so it's just,
No,
yeah, it's a very humbling experience, and it's almost like it's very rewarding at the end of the day.
for sure. And I mean, yeah, I think the less time people spend trying to predict when it's going to happen and just, rather spend that time putting the work in, that's really when things start to show up, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think also too, like the beauty of like social media. Like I know, social media can be ugly sometimes, but it's evolved so much that literally you can do anything. And like you can easily just DM someone and be like, "Hey, I want to collab," and it'll be right there for you. So it's like I think too, just like being present on social media and like, really putting in the work to like, hone your craft and like share your music with people, and like being consistent on certain platforms can really like help you elevate yourself in your career, and in the craziest ways. Because yeah, and literally anybody like Beyonce could DM me the tomorrow. You just never
You guys
know.
use the same app. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
you
right
yeah,
there.
you just never know. Like literally anybody could just DM you and be like, "Yo, what's up? Want to collab?" Or, "Hey, like I have a festival, like could join the lineup," like that kind of thing. So
Exactly.
it's like, yeah, anything could happen. And I think as long as you continue to remember why you're doing it and why you love it and why you're passionate about it, and just put that in every single thing that you do, whether that be like behind the scenes, doing all the business work, or going into the studio and writing songs, like just remember like why you're doing it and why you love it, and it'll just take you like so far.
Yeah. That's got to be the key. To wrap up, and I really appreciate your time so far.
Of course.
Um, what's one aspect of becoming an artist? Obviously, I'm sure people have a picture in their head of what it's going to be like, kind of like we speak on the opportunities. But what's one aspect of this career that you didn't expect? Maybe that's a challenge. And then what are the sort of factors that go into overcoming those challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I have a couple answers about that, but like I think the main thing that growing up especially was like navigating your career on the business side is like something that is a great thing, but also can be a struggle at the same time, because you just don't really know. Again, like music and like being an artist is so like unstructured. It's
Right.
like, yeah, and it's like, when you're trying to reach certain goals, like whether that be again like traveling out to like the Netherlands and or like Singapore or wherever you're going, like there's grants involved that we're so gracious to have like
Yeah.
in Canada, like to have grants to like writing applications, like it ain't easy and it's not,
No.
and again it's all stuff like that is not guaranteed, and so like just the whole business side of the industry is something that like I've had to learn to almost love just as much as the actual passion for music, because it is a very very important part of your career, in terms of like, for instance, it's another great way to network, like having to write out emails to reach out to certain people, or whether that be looking over contracts, of certain deals, or whatever the case may be. It's like that to me is like such an important part of your career, but obviously too it can also be a draining part as well. And I think
Yeah.
also like in the process of trying to build a team as well, like that also like takes a lot of work and like a lot of paperwork and all that kind of stuff that come with it. But at the end of the day, like as I've kind of been saying and how I've kind of navigated my career my entire life, is to just always remember why you love it. And again, it is a job. There are going to be things that you're not going to love about it. There's going to be things that are a little annoying, but like because you're passionate about it and because you love it, it's like you will sacrifice and do those things to just for it to be all worth it in the end and to be
Yeah.
rewarding,
For
because
the
when these
greater good.
absolutely, because then when these opportunities do come, you're like, oh, man, like this is why I love it. So like taking the time to apply for this certain showcase really wasn't that big of a deal, because
Yeah.
like because at the end of the day you were able to go out and travel and perform and go somewhere. So it's like putting in that time and that work and just remembering why you're doing it, and like thinking about the possibilities of what could happen with those certain things, really just it tramples over like all the annoyingness in your brain.
Yeah.
Like
For
that
sure.
too. So
Got to
yeah, I
keep
would
your eye
say
on the prize.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think yeah, that's definitely like even again another like motivator to just, what, it's gonna take a couple hours to do this. It's not the end of the world, because at the end of the day, when you're out there touring the next however many years afterwards, you're gonna be like, wow, taking those few hours was really worth it. So it's like, yeah, at
Totally.
the end of the day, yeah, everyone has their like good and bad things about what they do in their job, but like at the end of the day, when you just think about why you started, then it really is going to be worth it in the end. So
You'll
yeah.
be in a good spot. Tia G, I really appreciate it. You're a star. You're killing it,
Oh,
and you're definitely making us proud out here. So, huge
oh,
shout out to you and everything that you're doing.
thank you so much. I appreciate your time. It was such a fun chat, and I hope we'll get to chat again soon.
100%. We'll put all your links down below. Do you have any shows coming up in the area?
Yeah, I'm actually performing at Taste of Edmonton this
Okay.
Friday, July 26th at 12 p.m. And then I'll also be doing the Stingers halftime show for their last home game on July 29th. So if you guys are around in the city, follow my socials. You'll be able to see everything there. And I hope to see all your beautiful faces as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to catch you live sometime for sure. We'll
Yes,
have to put something
absolutely.
together.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Tia. All right, take care.
Thank you.